Christmas for the Johnsons was always really neat. Up to their mountain cabin, each year they would retreat. There was Dad and little Buddy and a mom whose name was Pam. They'd put their antique sleigh on top the family van. Come on, said Dad. Get packed, let's get going. The weather forecast said soon it would be snowing. So they packed up all their clothes. They didn't need much food. To take more than they needed, they all thought would be rude. They took along some cocoa and a few things they could snack. They really didn't need much, for tomorrow they would be back. Off into the forest, the happy trip began. Little Buddy and his daddy and his mommy, whose name was Pam. High up the mountain to their cabin they did go, as a little winter shower turned into heavy snow. When finally they made it through the snow-covered mountain pass, Dad unlocked the cabin and turned on the heating gas. Pam and little Buddy took stock of what was there to eat. Some butter and 5 eggs, but not a trace of meat. The food didn't really matter, for they wouldn't be there long. Just a sleigh ride and a night there spent in joyous song.
Joy to the
At
world.
last, they were all unpacked and ready to begin their annual Christmas sleigh ride with their faces to the wind. So off they went, the happy three, through faster falling snow. Daddy with the sleigh, Pam with little Buddy in tow. Way up the mountain, just off the walking path, having so much fun they often stopped to laugh. Climb aboard, said Daddy. Pam, you sit in the rear. Buddy, you sit behind me and cover up your ears. Then whoosh, the sleigh shot down the mountainside. What fun, what a thrill, this wonderful Christmas ride. Then Daddy seemed to tense up as the sleigh picked up speed. A branch hit him in the face and his nose began to bleed. The snow and blood were blinding Daddy's eyes, and the sleigh like a rocket flew off the mountainside. Oh, it seemed like an eternity as the sleigh flew through the sky. When it finally came crashing down, little Buddy began to cry. His crying soon turned to screams and echoed through the air as he looked back at his beloved mom and her head that wasn't there. Dad tried to shield young Buddy's eyes from the awful sight, and he knew they must get out of there or freeze to death that night. So off the two of them lumbered back to the heated cabin. Daddy cradled his dear Pam's head, and her body he was dragging. When Dad tried to start the tired old van, it knocked, it belched, it sighed. With one final awful spasm, the engine gave up and died. Miles and miles from nowhere, a hard snow coming down, the eerie wind that blew made a lonely, lonely sound. And the snow kept piling higher, and the temperature did drop. Dad knew that their heating gas would soon come to a stop. As the hours passed to days, and one day into 5, Daddy knew he would do something drastic if they were to survive. The food they had was long gone, just 2 eggs had been saved. It was then that Dad decided that Pam must be filleted. Dad never thought a Christmas sleigh ride would end in a disaster, but he was sure that Pam would say, "Eat me," if she were there to ask her. Then Buddy started crying and said, "I'm hungry and can't feel my legs." And Daddy smiled and said, "Don't worry, son. I'll fix us some Pam and eggs."